Good evening, everyone. I'm not for sure if you guys come off mute or not. Let me just make sure everything is all set on my end. Let's see. Good to see a lot of familiar faces. Angel, good to see you. We got the infamous Candace in the building, Daniela. Good to see. Let's see. Jake, good to see you, man. You've been traveling the world.
What's up, man? I'm back.
Back in action, man. How was that, by the way?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Hit up 9 different cities, got to meet a whole bunch of sub-2 and gator people I never would have met otherwise. It was a lot of fun.
Amazing, man. A little jealous, but but that's amazing. You had a good time, man. That was pretty neat to watch all your stories and all that good stuff, and just being around Pace and his network. I know that just the knowledge was crazy, man.
Dude, it's bananas. The level of person that I got to spend time around, especially once I got to Boise and was at that conference, just bananas. I walk in and the first person I see is Tariq El Moussa. It's like, what?
Oh God, that is crazy. How did that conversation go, or more so it's just like a meet and greet kind of scenario?
Well, I walked in. He was up on stage. He came off stage, and they broke into like an hour-long networking. And I was like, well, shit, I'm just gonna go for it. He's just a dude. And no, he just really was like a normal guy. I like
amazing
dad. He's like one of those people I've definitely prejudged in the past just based off how they portray him on TV. But no, super cool, humble guy for sure. Really cool to meet him.
Nice, man. I'm glad you had a good time. I was like watching all the videos like late at night, like shit. Like, what's going on now? Well, that was pretty neat.
I think I probably slept 5 or 6 hours that whole week, but it was worth it.
Amazing. Definitely want to talk to you more about that too. So, Jesse and I was thinking about, more so you guys coming back on a podcast, share your experience and what that looks like from city to city.
Oh yeah.
And that's going to be pretty neat. So as everyone's coming in, welcome back. This is second week. Today's Tuesday, a little bit past 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See, got a couple people still coming in. Good to see you. You guys are amazing. A lot of amazing faces in here. And guys, if you guys don't know what the watermelon challenge is, you can always refer back to our YouTube channel. I believe it's on. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it called the Watermelon Challenge YouTube, or I just want to make sure I have the right name?
I think so.
Because you guys gonna Google something and probably think how to make watermelon or how you slice it up or something. But more so,
on all those too, right?
So last week was our first introduction, more so just going over the overall aspect of what the Watermelon Challenge is. So I just want to touch base specifically on that real quick and just see if you guys got any questions based on some of the information we gave you last week. I know it was a lot out there, and I know there's probably 1,000 questions, and more so we're always here to help. There's a bunch of us on here right now, and I'm trying to find Stu. I think Stu's on here somewhere so we can get him on here. I don't see Stu, but
He's here.
Okay, cool.
We see him. He's waving.
I don't see you. Oh, there he is. Stu and Daniela.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Amazing. Phenomenal, guys. Well, it's great to see everyone back. Again, we're going to have this a recording every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Not 7:30. I know we started off last week at 7:30 on Monday, but it's going to be every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know we have people that's going to be viewing it from all over, whether you're in Alaska, on the Central Standard Time or whatever time zone. Just please double check that. But yeah, today we're going to be going over underwriting and talk about some of the different deals that came through the pipeline, and actually give you a real synopsis of exactly what happened from beginning to end. So more so before we jump into that, I just wanted to see if anyone had any questions in regards to last week or just questions in general as far as what the challenge actually is. And or if it's first timers here, it looked like we have a lot of familiar faces. So I don't think there's first timers, but you never know.
We do have a first timer.
We do have a first timer. Christine, good to see you here. Christine, can I ask you to unmute?
Hi.
Let me see.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
Let's see. Well, welcome to the challenge.
thank you.
Where you from?
I'm in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I just found out about this afternoon and was invited to come in.
Awesome.
So I registered.
Welcome.
Amazing. So where in your real estate journey are you? Are you like just starting to take off a little bit? Are you got a little bit experience? Are you looking for your
Yeah.
first deal? What does that look like for you?
I've been in it for a little while. I bought my first, I guess, investment property back in 2006. I had bought my primary residence with a basement apartment.
Oh
So
wow.
was house hacking before I knew that was what it was called. Got married a few years later. Between the two of us, we got up to 8 doors. I self-managed all of them with a full-time job and a part-time job, and self-managing 8 properties. That marriage ended, and I'm down to 4 doors. No longer self-managing. Property managers are so worth the money. Taking care of my mom now, who has dementia, and her memory care facility is going to cost over $6,000 a month. So I am looking to scale back up way more than what I had before, so I can help pay for that.
Amazing. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's amazing that you're vulnerable to share. And there's only like 1 or 2 of us in here, right? So don't worry about anybody else. But thanks for sharing that story. I think a lot of people can get a lot of value from that, because a lot of people actually, when they're going through different obstacles in life, they don't know where to pick up and actually proceed. They either go to like a dark hole or specifically don't know which direction to go into. It seems like you're in great spirit, and more so you're staying positive about the things that happened in the past. And I think that's phenomenal, because it brings us to our conversation today. And I think this is gonna be amazing, Christine. And you don't mind if I call you Christine, right? You don't got a nickname or anything? Okay.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So Christine, so what the watermelon challenge is overall. So as you see, is a bunch of us on the screen. You see Candace, Jacqueline, Jake, Mark, Danielle, Jesse's in here, and Stuart, and along with a couple other individuals. So we all came together to create this challenge where we can just be almost like a real estate in the box. Literally, you can come to one location and we can provide whatever the resource may look like, whether that comes from more so EMD, whether you need a loan. We offer different loan products. It's just more so you don't need money to really get into real estate, right? So specifically for your situation, like if you don't want to spend any money, that's fine. More so you can find a deal, whatever that looks like. I'm not for sure if you're direct to agent, direct to seller, or whatever that channel looks like for marketing. So when you do find that deal, you can bring it to us, and we have a portal that Candace took time and made. Took a lot of time to make that portal that works very well. And you can submit your deal over to us, and literally we can utilize our credentials, our financials, our money, just anything associated with the deal, we're bringing to the table. Only thing we want you to do is find a great deal, submit it through the portal, and we'll take care of the rest. Now, longevity wise, like it's up to you as far as if you want to stay like as a partner in the deal, like have some equity in the actual property, and or if you're looking for an assignment. So there's options depending on what you're looking in life. Like for instance, you may just say, Chris, I want an assignment fee. No worries at all. Or hey, I want to be part of this deal to build my cash flow. No problem at all. It's just more so we want to be a resource and help you on your journey, whatever that looks like.
Sounds fantastic.
Great. Now, do you have any questions of what that really entails more so, or just is that a good synopsis of what that looks like? And of course, we're week to week. This is our second week doing this, so more so, I'm pretty sure 1,000 questions are going to pop up. Like, what does this look like? Different nuances, which is totally fine. We're here to just be a resource. I don't want you to feel timid or in any way, or anyone on this on the Zoom right now. So, guys, please, there's no dumb questions or anything like that. Trust me, I ask the craziest questions on a daily basis. Ask Jesse, ask these guys. So
I'm the one who does that.
Okay.
Yeah, I ask stupid questions.
Well, I'm a high school teacher, so I know that feeling too.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, if anyone have any questions during the presentation, Jacqueline is going to take it over a little bit. She's actually going to go into exactly what the underwriting process looked like in how we really underwrite the deals to see if it's like a good fit for us to move forward. And then we can actually go into some of the deals that were submitted through some of the people I believe may or may not be on here. I'm not for sure, but we're going to deep dive into that. And then if you got questions along the way, just raise your hand and then we can answer those questions. It's all you, Jacqueline.
Great. So last week I had talked to everybody about the fact that this week we're going to learn to comp in 2 minutes. So hopefully I can deliver on that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So give me just a second here. All right. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
We can.
Perfect. Okay. So this past week we had 2 deals that got submitted that worked. And so I'm going to go ahead and use those as examples to kind of show you guys how this calculator works. Once we go through this calculator tonight, it's going to be posted to the Facebook group so that you all have access to it and you can download it. And then when you submit your deals to us, we request that you use this calculator to submit your deals to show that you've gone through the underwriting process. So the first deal that we're going to go over is actually a deal that Chris Williams submitted. And so that deal had a purchase price of $140,000. And you'll see that right here, the payment is going to be pre-populated for you. Now, this payment is based on an 80% loan to purchase ratio using an 8.5% interest rate. The reason for that is that the DSCR products that we're seeing are generally around 8.5%. Hopefully we can get you a little bit better rate than that, but this is, for the purposes of this challenge, we're using 8.5%. So that's already hard coded in there. You all don't have to worry about that. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to input your long-term monthly rental income. So for this one, I think it was $1,200. So sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. You'll see that the next thing you're going to do is put in the annual property tax rate. So every county, every city has a different property tax rate. You're going to want to just do a quick Google search and that should tell you what the property tax rate is. So for this one, it was right around 1%. Next, you're going to go in and you're going to put in your acquisition costs. So we'll say this one's going to have $3,000 in closing costs, and he was using a Gator for this. So they were going to get a $3,000 fee. We had estimated about $5,000 in repairs. And you'll see here that it doesn't look like it cash flows as a long-term rental, and that's okay. This one does cash flow as a midterm rental. And so you can see here that the annual cash flow for the midterm rental is $1,423. So if we're going to be using this as a midterm rental, we're going to want to go back and put in the furnishing costs. I'll throw $10,000 in for that. And you'll see that increased our it decreased our cash on cash return to 32%, which is a real bummer. Just kidding. That's a great return. So the down here, you'll see, congratulations, please submit your deal. If this does not produce a 13.5% cash on cash return, down here it will say, sorry, your deal does not qualify. It needs to meet a 13.5% cash on cash return. The next piece of this is double checking your private money. So we're going to assume that all of these entry fees, you're going to be using a private money lender for. So this $51,800 is going to be funded through private money with a 12% interest rate. Now, if you have a relationship with a private money lender who's going to charge you less than 12%, feel free to put this in here. This is just a placeholder that we use. We use a rate of 12%. You'll see that this last piece down here is the PML calculation. You're going to want to make sure that if you plan to use a private money lender for this, that it still cash flows. So in this specific example, your cash flow for a midterm rental is still $905 a month with a cash on cash return of 20%. So this is a great example of a deal that, you know, we'll do this all day long. It doesn't cash flow as a long-term rental, but it's a great option for a midterm rental. And so this one says, congratulations, please submit. Now, let's just say, for example, that this property was only going to make $2,000 a month as a midterm rental. You can see here that it just barely meets the cash on cash return. And you'll see that this message down here changed to say, sorry, that this does not underwrite and that it needs to be higher than a 13.5%. So that's just a little bit of an example on what this is going to look like. It'll guide you through the process and it tells you right there, yep, this works, or no, it doesn't work. A few other things to note on this is we've already gone ahead and hard coded the property taxes based on the property tax percentage that you're inputting. We put in your insurance, your war chest, your management fees, your vacancy. So all of your operating expenses are in here just based on a general formula. Keep in mind if you're doing...
Jacqueline, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Go for it, please.
Guys, all the questions we're going to answer right after she gets done with this presentation.
Yes, I will. We'll get to those. All of your expenses, this is just using a generic formula in order for us to kind of get to the nuts and bolts on whether or not this is an actual deal. If you can find a manager who charges 8%, that's fantastic. We know it underwrites at 10. So here's the first example. Again, this was Chris Williams' deal. This was a deal in Augusta, Georgia. So this one worked out great. I'm going to clear all of this out here so that I can give you all one more example of another deal that was submitted by Freddie. So Freddie found a deal and the purchase price on that was $399,000. And the projected rental income conservatively for a long-term rental was $5,000. The annual property tax rate, this one is in New Mexico, was 0.49%. And sorry, clear all this out. So you can see here that this one cash flows as a long-term rental. We'll go in and put our acquisition costs. Let's just assume that he's going to use a gator on this one. And we'll just put in $5,000 in repairs. This still meets the criteria with a 14.93% cash on cash return. And so in this specific example, it's going to be used as a long-term rental. We don't really need to go any further. It cash flows. So this is another deal that Freddie had approved. And so we're going to be moving forward in the process on this one. Now, I'm sure there are lots of questions. So
yeah, so I want to start at the top if you're okay with that, Jacqueline.
Yep, that was my thought too.
Phenomenal. Let me scroll back up for a second. Then we had a question about the acquisition. Can you go over what acquisition cost means?
Sure. Okay, so acquisition costs are going to be any realtor fees that you're paying. If you are splitting the realtor fee with the seller, if you've agreed to pay additional closing costs outside of your normal closing costs that you're paying as a buyer on the deal, any additional costs that you've agreed to as part of the contract that wouldn't be part of like a normal acquisition. Are we good to go to the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to touch on that acquisition. So yeah, as everything that she just stated, I know sometimes when dealing with acquisition costs, you can add in depending on if there's room for like meat on the bone, depending like an acquisition cost to yourself. Sometimes I know there's a lot of buyers out there that do that as well. And when I state that is more so specifically when a lot of people buy properties, they pay their self out in regards to they pay their self, their team, and ensure that the team gets compensated for their time, efforts to market the property or whatever that specifically may look like. So I just wanted to touch on that just a little bit. Christine asked a great question. Doesn't matter if it's FTR or FRR.
A single family rental or
Okay.
multifamily.
Sorry. Yeah, for seed one, we're only doing single family residential. Seed two, we had talked more about like commercial, multifamily, and all that good stuff. But this calculator is just based on specifically single family residentials. Okay. And then will we have access to this calculator, Jacqueline? Will we have access to
Yes.
this?
Yep, we are going to be posting this in the Facebook group. So you all will have access to this calculator. And the expectation will be that when you're submitting your deal, you're submitting this calculator to back up your underwriting. So this
Phenomenal.
is a free calculator for all of our Watermelon Challenge participants.
I just
Amazing.
have to jump in. This is incredible. You put so much work into this for the whole group. This is so good. Thank you so much. And I think you had some help from Helaman on this one.
Oh,
Yes.
wait.
What that was.
I think somebody unmuted herself.
Okay.
What is a war chest? A war chest is money for a rainy day. With rentals of any kind, you're going to have things that come up. So you want to make sure that you're putting money aside from your rental income every month so that when those unexpected expenses arise, you need a new water heater, you have an HVAC repair that needs to be made, a leak in a sink, that money is already there and ready to be deployed when you need it. So war chest is super important, not something that you should skimp on.
Mary asked a good question. I know that we don't submit deals less than $200,000. What if I have a deal of 3 that comes basically in a total of 390? Is that something you guys were receptive to? What are your thoughts on that?
What if a deal of 3 that comes to 390?
So this, say in a hypothetical, you got 3 single family houses. The total purchase price of all 3 total is 390.
So basically they're bundling it, right?
Sounds like a
Bundle.
portfolio.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a bundle,
Yeah.
a portfolio. Do we do a portfolio deal essentially, right? That's
Yeah,
what you're asking.
we could do portfolio deals for sure.
So
Good
there you go.
question.
The
Good
answer is
question.
yes.
Good question. You do not need to get the deal under contract before submitting it, but if you are using this calculator and it tells you that it's a good deal, to me, it would be pretty comfortable going ahead and getting that under contract. You're just going to want to make sure that you're taking it into consideration that you have enough time for EMD. So give us, 5 business days if possible. If not, I would say no less than 3 business days. And then same thing with making sure you have enough time for inspections. We want to make sure that we're having a professional inspection done on these properties, especially if you plan to keep them. There's always things that come up. For example, we had one that had cast iron pipes, and the cast iron pipes were not in good shape at all. In my experience, that can be $10,000 plus to replace a house that has cast iron pipes. So we made the decision that that just wasn't something that we wanted to do. Moved on, we're able to get EMD back and on to the next deal.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I would try to build a 7 to 10 day inspection period in there. A minimum of
Yes.
7.
Yeah, 10 is more ideal, but to Jake's point, yeah, 7's a minimum, 10's ideal.
Perfect.
Just because of trying to get the inspectors out there and getting reports back in time, it gives us enough time to cancel it as quickly as possible.
Mm. There is a question about payments, down payments fixed at 20%. That is because of the DSCR loan. DSCR loans 9 times out of 10 are going to require you to have 20% down.
Before we go on to the next question, Bob, I know you've been waiting patiently. What was your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So quick question. If I've got a property that is mixed from the standpoint of it has short-term rental units that I want to utilize, but it also has a space down below that is a business, and it's a business that I can run very well. And how would that play into a picture like this?
That's a mixed use property.
Okay.
That will be a good question for Mark. I'm just not sure what loan product we would use for something like that.
Okay.
But I know there is an option out there. The underwriting is obviously going to be a little bit different for something like that, where we're going to have to kind of break out the different revenue streams and the expenses that go along with each one, and then kind of roll it up into one bucket. I can help you take a look at that offline.
Sure. I appreciate it. And I didn't mean to be a problem child, but I've been doing it
You're
long
good.
enough.
Mark, what are your thoughts on that?
You
Yeah,
said commercial loan products for mixed use. There you go. Sorry, Mark.
No, that's all right. That's quite all right. That's what we're here for.
So, excuse me, Bob, real quick, how many units total is it? Oh, you muted again. Sorry. Chris, can you unmute him?
No,
Or that himself?
I'm sorry. I had a call coming in, which is a pain in the neck. I'm sorry. So I'm sorry, how many units?
Yeah, total.
There's 4 units that would be short-term rental, or actually I would prefer mid-term rental. I'm trying to move away from short-term rental. It's been a pain in my certain body parts. And so, but yeah, I would prefer to be mid-term rental. And so it has 4 units of that. And downstairs is a really cool space that I would love to sink my teeth into, kind of thing. So, and all of you would be invited because it's actually like a big venue space for parties and that kind of thing. So we could have a big party at my place.
Party at Bob's.
Party at my place.
Nice.
That's my promo. So that's why you should give me lunch.
Love it.
So, Bob, that's great. So I guess my follow-up question was for Mark then. So Mark, with that mixed use, if let's say there was only 2 or 3 living units above the commercial space and the commercial space made the 4th, would that still be considered commercial, even though it's considered 4 units or less, or because of that commercial space on the bottom or that mixed use space on the bottom is still a commercial loan?
Yeah, it's my understanding that it being a mixed use property would fall into a commercial zoning. So that
Gotcha.
would be a commercial product. I don't know it. There could be some, wiggle room there as far as, there's potentially some lenders that are non-QM lenders like myself that have, some kind of bridge product that might be applicable. But if we're talking about, perm debt options, long-term debt options, then most likely a commercial loan.
Would it change the equation? And I'm sorry, I don't mean to hog up the time, but would it change the equation that this is in an agricultural area and it's actually mixed use land, agricultural, residential?
It could be. That would be a USDA loan product then.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's wisdom and time. Thank you.
Good question. Good question. Kyle.
Hey, just a couple of questions quickly. The first one, I know you talked about a minimum purchase price on the last one. I just wanted to make sure I've got the number right. What is the minimum purchase price for like a buy and hold long term?
So what we're looking for is a minimum $200,000.
Okay. And the next question was, let's say you bring in a private money lender for the with 12% for the down payment. What does that loan term look like? Is it how do you pay them off?
You
That's a
say
great question.
Oh, go ahead.
He was asking, how do you pay off the private money lender and what does
Oh,
their term
okay.
look like? So,
Is that go ahead?
I was just gonna say, typically, we would recommend finding someone who's willing to loan for 12 months. That's something that as part of this process, we're gonna try and help you do is find a private money lender. You can pay them out by either bringing in a new private money lender at the end of the term, or you can do a cash out refinance, assuming that you've gotten equity in the property, and pay them out that way.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks for that.
Great questions, guys. Great questions. So as she was going through and again, guys, this is not multifamily in regards to what she's showing you for as a calculator. This is for single family only right at this time. Now, of course, there's going to be additions added to it as we go from C1 to C2 and so on and so on. Yes, this will be shared. If you are not in the elephant challenge, I'm sorry. If you're not in the watermelon challenge group, more so just make sure you are in there due to the fact of you're only going to find these items inside that specific group.
I see Savannah asked, what's the lowest rate in terms on the DSCR? I could say for the last few months, we've been seeing from the high 7s to the mid 8s. I think it depends on things like experience and what the DSCR ratio and stuff like that is, and credit score, obviously. But for the deals that my team has been sponsoring, we're usually getting the best rates out there, and you're looking at high 7s to mid 8 right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Joe, to answer your question, just type in Facebook, the watermelon challenge, and you should see us pop right up. Or if Jesse, if you're still in here, can you just throw the group link? Oh, perfect. There you go. My guy. Perfect. So essentially, I know we kind of going off a little bit. I just want to get back into more so what Jacqueline wants to show us. There's going to be a Q&A at the end as well. I just don't want to spend too much time right now on if it's not related to the question in regards to the calculator. Now, do anyone have any specific questions on how to utilize this calculator? Is that to us, or I don't know if it's
No, that was somebody else's mute, need to be
Okay.
muted.
So
I
how will
see,
they submit it? Will they do like a screenshot? How would you like this to be added to their deal when they're submitting it?
A screenshot will work, or just snip it out, whatever you need to do. Do we have the ability to attach files, Candace?
We can attach files with like a link, like with a Google Drive link or something like that. So
Perfect. That will work as well. Yeah, any way that you can send it to us just to show us the numbers behind it, that would be extremely helpful.
very cool.
amazing.
Thank you. I love this.
Sorry about that, Jacqueline. Back to you.
No, you guys are all good. Does anybody else have any questions related to actually filling out the calculator itself? No, I did that good of a job. Wow.
Amazing. So
Maybe
guys,
this is more of a Candace question, but once they submit and it goes through, do they get an email confirmation, Candace?
They do with all their answers.
I figured that. Gotcha.
I see we got Joe
Amazing.
Abito in here. He brought us a deal recently that my team's partnering with him on. Actually, it's kind of cool. I don't know if
Nice.
it's actually not a purchase. So we've been talking to Joe for a while. Joe, you feel free to chime in if you want. We've been talking to Joe for a while. He's out in Nashville and he was looking, to use a DSCR product for some properties, but none of them were penciling out. And so he pivoted and went to doing a midterm rental arbitrage type of thing. And so our team is actually going to sponsor the lease on that. And then he'll do the arbitrage for the midterm rentals. He's working with a few different companies or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, medical agencies as well as insurance agencies.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a B2B contract. So we're going to be dealing directly with those agencies.
I thought that's a pretty cool example. In case you guys are stuck in this box, it's okay to think outside the box. Joe brought us that idea and we were like, yeah, that's pretty cool. It'll work.
Amazing.
Can I ask a question?
Perfect. Who was that? Who was
Mary.
that? Go ahead, Mary. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Jackie, is that for you? So if I have those three property together as like a portfolio that I have in Nashville, Tennessee, how would I put it in the calculator? Because obviously individual, only one is over 200, but the other one is not. They're going to make, as I said, 390 together. So how would I put it in the calculator? Is there any way I can do that, or just do it individual and send it that way?
So I personally, when I'm buying a portfolio, want to make sure that I actually like all the properties that I'm buying. So I underwrite them individually. And then if there's room on like purchase price and stuff like that related to the ones that may not make sense, sometimes the seller's a little bit more willing to come down in price because it's on the portfolio cost rather than the specific property. So then you can kind of just allocate a little bit the overall property cost. So let's say that you have one property for 150, two properties for 150,000 and another one for 200. But the $200,000 property isn't really going to make you any more money in rent than the $150,000 properties. What you could do is allocate, let's say, $20,000 from that $200,000 property and apply 10 to one of the 150s. So now you're buying that one for 160. And then another 10 to the other one, and now you're buying it for 160. So you're just spreading out the cost, which makes your numbers then work, but it's the same overall purchase price. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll play with
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
one doesn't get like that in the weeds when it comes to what you would maybe potentially underwrite as like a multifamily purchase or portfolio purchase. This is truly just for one property, but it's just a way to kind of say like, okay, it doesn't really make sense on this one, but if I move the money a little bit, then it makes sense.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
We have someone ask about if they're wholesaling, do we use the same calculator? I'm going to go ahead and say, what's your intended buyer's exit strategy? So if their exit strategy is going to be to buy and hold, you can use this calculator to determine whether or not it's going to cash flow for your end buyer. And you can put your assignment fee or your wholesale fee into this entry fee calculator to get an idea of whether or not it's going to meet a cash on cash return for an end buyer. If it's a fix and flip, this is not the calculator for it.
Amazing.
This is why we love Jacqueline. She's got all the answers.
Yeah.
Great, great.
Nobody try to steal her from me. She's mine.
Oh.
We need her.
We need her. She's not
Joe
going.
asked a question about, he said, with STRs being banned, how do you plan on pivoting to NTRs? I think that question is for Mary more so, but I'd like to answer that because I'm pretty sure whoever's in Texas right now hear about the new laws that's being implemented very soon for Dallas, but more so specifically, I think midterm rentals and corporate rentals and all that good stuff, I don't think that's ever going to go away. Transparently, because the more so you're always going to have traveling nurses out there. You're going to always have an individual on a hypothetical. Actually, perfect example. Jesse and I are going through this right now with our Virginia property. The PITI on that specific property is literally $1,300. We're literally making that into a midterm rental and collecting $4,200 on that one. And that's a big gap, right? So initially, this is a individual who was actually in a hotel with her daughter. The water, the pipes bust in their house, so the State Farm quoted them like 3 months until they can actually get in there, fix it, and be able to go back into the property. So essentially, that's guaranteed money for the next 3 months, right? And more so, a lot of people don't look at that option because they think it's either unstable. It just is a lot of different ways you can go about it, especially being strategic and creative. Like for instance, when Jesse and I bought the property and closed on the property, we already knew there was like 4 different exit strategies, and that was a perfect example where LTR, we was going to do initially a long-term rental, and as we're starting to market it off, people started reaching out to us, all these different platforms, like, hey, we actually could do this with your property. Would you be open to that and sign this kind of lease? And it didn't cross our mind because initially our game plan, we was going to make money on the cash flow for us on long-term rental, but we made that to a midterm rental, and that's going to be this is going to do what 3 times what we expected, which is phenomenal. But as STRs go away, midterms and corporate rentals are going to stay. That because you got airlines, you have like, they're not going to just shut down the airline, right? They're not going to shut down traveling nurses. They're not going to shut down these people that constantly they're essential workers that need to work. So that's a good way to look at it more so.
Yeah,
So,
one of the other things midterm rentals are used for is insurance. So when people have
Oh,
to
yeah.
be out of their home for an insurance claim, whether it's a natural disaster or a flood or whatever, the insurance company actually places those people into homes.
Yep.
And that's another use for MTRs. So that's not
Absolutely.
going anywhere. Yeah.
And I think the way we can stay, kind of put a pin in this one is that's why Jacqueline's not letting you just do as an STR as your primary strategy as well, right? You look as an MTR strategy as your max, as your ceiling. STR is all the toppings on whatever dessert you want. Right? Does that make sense,
Absolutely.
everybody? So again, LTR, yeah, if it underwrites LTR, slam dunk. MTR, if it underwrites, not a slam dunk, but easy layup. You don't want to just put everything under it as an STR because you could get yourself in some weeds and be in a bad situation at that point in time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I seen a lot of great questions about the calculator. Are we able to calculate the difference between midterm rentals and Section 8 and all that good stuff on the calculator, or just more so is a basic calculator just to get the nitty gritty into the door? I'm not for sure exactly. I just want to make sure.
Well, I mean, Section 8 is going to be a long-term rental rate for the most part. I mean, those Section 8 vouchers are depending on what the market rate is for the area. So that's going to be a long-term rental. How do you calculate midterm rental income? Furnish Finder is kind of what we've used. Go on Furnish Finder in the area that you're looking at, that your subject property is located in, and see what things are renting for on Furnish Finder when you're comparing in the same way you would comp another property. How many bedrooms and bathrooms does it have? And you'll be able to get a general idea of what things are listed for.
Absolutely. Great questions, guys. Great questions.
Right.
Perfect. Perfect. So I know we wanted to just want to touch on a little bit as far as our loan products, as far as what we can offer. We have about 6 or 7 different loan products, and Mark is going to talk a little bit about that. And guys, as you have more questions, we're going to answer a lot of them towards the end. Now we're just going to go on to just talk about loan products, what that looks like as far as some of the qualifications that's needed to move forward, and what it looks like as far as experience. Mark.
Yeah, so these non-QM products are just a different tool for the tool belt. I had commented in the chat earlier, basically saying that, you can expect these products to be, especially the DSCR products, to be anywhere from a half of a point to a full percentage point more expensive than conventional, a conventional investment, property. The differences are, ultimately come down to what you have and or what you supply to the lender and or what you qualify for. So obviously with conventional rates, they're going to look at your debt to income ratio. Well, if you're self-employed and you got a really good tax guy, there's a good chance that you're not going to qualify for a conventional loan because you wrote off so much that your actual income on paper for your tax returns could show, a break even or a negative for the year. So these products basically come into play in that scenario where we don't need to see your tax returns. We don't need to see income statements. You just show a certain amount of liquidity to show that you can take the deal down and proof of good repayment history, AKA your FICO score, that allow you to basically qualify. So, I mean, these were some old slides that we put together for our last presentation, just to kind of introduce people to the types of products that were offered. But there's a couple different, the long-term that we tend to focus on for the sake of this conversation is that 30-year fixed product. It's fully amortized. It is a recourse. It's a recourse loan. There's not a whole lot of appetite right now for originating non-recourse. If people tend to ask a lot of questions about those recourse, non-recourse loans. 8 months ago, they were written not fairly often, but a decent percentage of them were written now, not so much. And I think that's just due to market volatility. And why would someone, from a risk standpoint, those loans are way more, way riskier. And they tend to be more expensive with reduced leverages. So these DSCR loans, they can be up to 80% loan to value on a purchase. They can be up to 75% loan to value on a cash out refi. DSCR stands, for those that you don't know, it stands for debt service coverage ratio. And basically what that means is how well does the cash flow that we pulled from our calculators cover our new debt obligations. It typically takes 2 to 3 weeks to close these loans, whereas conventional takes 4 to 5. And then we also have these value add products. So say you need to come in and, give the property a little facelift for some equity or divvy up bedrooms or whatever the play is. There's also products, 12 or 18 month interest only loans that allow you to step in at 80 to 90% loan to cost. And acquire the property and fund 100% of your renovations. The ranges in leverages and the difference in that you'll see in pricing, it varies based on experience. So the more experienced you are, obviously the less risky the lender sees you as, and the more money they're willing to give you, right? None of these non-QM loans are reported to credit agencies. That's another benefit of going this route. They don't show up on your credit report. So when you go to apply for a new car loan or you go to apply for a new primary and you want to upsize or downsize for you and your family, you could essentially get 100 plus of these loans and they would never show up to impact your debt to income ratio and show up as a debt obligation. There's also some commercial loan products that aren't included in here. Those are bridge. They're multifamily, industrial, up to 80% loan to value. All their asset classes are at 70. And that's it in a nutshell. Sorry, I'm getting an incoming call here. Yeah, the loan process is pretty quick. And then, as you guys go through the system, you start the calculator, you do your preliminary underwriting, you find a good deal, you get it under contract, then we start collecting some of these documents here.
Yep. And if you're someone who's using my team on the loan side, all those documents and information would be coming from us anyway.
So this is perfect. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
I'm sorry about that.
No, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, you, Mark.
I was just going to ask if anyone had any questions. That was all.
Very good.
Mark, I have a quick question. Is this, does this incorporate refis as well
It does.
on
Mhm.
investment properties? Okay.
Yeah, and you can refinance existing debt to do the value add side of things with the bridge product. You could also refinance the existing debt for cash out, or for, just, if you wanted to simply rate and term and put new debt on the property. Kind of just depends on what the strategy is there.
Awesome.
So we got a question that actually, so Mark, what 5 states do we not, what 5 states do we not operate in right now?
Well, we don't fund in Alaska right now because Jesse's there. We also don't fund in Hawaii currently yet. That's not to say that we couldn't for the right borrower. There's just less appetite being in those markets. Also, the Dakotas, North and South Dakota, those are no-goes as well. But every other state, we are able to fund in.
So somebody's asking, so how is a DSCR loan different from a hard money loan?
Hard money loans are typically short in duration and higher in interest. They're also known, or can be also labeled, bridge debt. So that's, and they typically can include renovations. It's just a completely different product, a different strategy, I guess. But more specifically, if we're talking about hard money, we're talking about private money loans that are in excess of 12 to 20%.
Amazing. So Jakai asks, what if we have an LLC? I'm not for sure what that's pertaining to. As far as closing the property, or more so trying to get the credit. I'm not for sure exactly what that's referring to. Just want to get a little bit clarification on that.
Yeah, so it sounds like they might be referring to closing in an entity, and those are actually preferable. It's preferred to close in an entity, especially if you have partners on board. Otherwise, it gets a little hairy between who's going to guarantee the loan. There also are some states that prohibit investment property acquisition in personal names. So I can provide a list of states if that's, desired.
Perfect. Yeah, you guys say a little bit of everything, credit especially.
That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. Any other questions related to loans and what we can offer and what that looks like moving forward, guys?
Hey, Chris, I have a quick question. I'm reading on the chat here from Savannah Jackson. Her question was from a little while ago. So is the lowest rate and terms you're offering the DSCR, or are you working with cash offers and ? So Savannah, can you unmute yourself or get unmuted and clarify your question for us, please?
Hey, thank you.
No worries.
So much. Yeah, I'm just, because I'm brand new. So if I worked with you guys, and I know Jake a little bit, I know Jesse a little bit. I'm not a total stranger. But I'm like, all right, so if I find a good, like, 3-door multifamily, I'm basically like, all right, so what are my lending options? Can I make a cash offer, or is that something you don't work with? Or am I looking for private money to fill the gap between a cash offer and a DSCR? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I think and excuse me if I'm not addressing the specific question. So, but what I'm hearing is maybe timelines. So if you're wanting to submit a cash offer, you're most likely looking at a quick, easy financing option, right? Which could be a bridge product. It could be a private money product. And you can list in your offer cash or like kind. And that'll allow you the 7 to 10 business day close, or shorter if it's private money, if they don't require a whole lot of underwriting. It really just kind of depends. Does that answer your question? I mean, if you go the DSCR route, you're looking at a timeline of 2 to 3 weeks, right? So it's going to be hard to say, oh, well, I'm paying you in cash when they know another lender's involved. And, because that lender's going to want, an interior appraisal and all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, thank you for the perspective. It's not a rush thing. It's more just like, what are my options? And I'm just like, all right, I love what we're doing here with watermelon. And I'm like, okay, so can I cash offers are wholesale essentially, right? And short term, like they're a quick turnaround. And then a DSCR would be like, all right, well, I also need to come up with a down payment if it's a seller finance or a down payment with a DSCR.
So, okay, so I think I understand what you're asking, and I'm gonna try to answer this maybe a little bit differently. So you're asking,
Thanks,
hey, what
Stuart.
kind of, no problem, what kind of offers can I make on the property, right? Can I
Yeah,
make an all cash
yeah.
offer? Can I make, or do I make an offer with a loan? And how do I find that money to give me the down payment? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, or entry or whatever
Yeah.
it is, right? Like,
So
yeah.
from a cash offer standpoint, I would say we're not doing I wouldn't suggest doing a cash offer, only because we're trying to spread out as much PML as we possibly can for everybody in the challenge, right?
Okay.
So that's number one. Number two, if you wanted to wholesale it, you could absolutely wholesale it to us as a group, and we would absolutely give you an assignment fee for that property if it makes sense to add to our portfolio.
Okay.
That's number two.
Cool.
So for short-term money. For three, the other question was, well, how do I get the down payment for this property if I'm going to get this DSCR loan qualification, right? That was your other question?
Yep.
Okay, that's what we're here for, right? So we're trying to find, or we are finding private money lenders to help bridge that gap for you to get into this deal for the first year. Now, if you have PML and if you know people with PML, good for you, because they are hard to come by right now. Two,
Sure.
if you have availability to share your PML with the people in this group, I know for a fact that people would absolutely pay you a referral fee for sharing those people. And you could, I just talked about this actually on a call before we got on here. I had a guy come out to me and said, hey, I got a buyer looking for some long-term, some PML. Can you help me out? I heard him out. I said, listen, we don't have the money right now, but we have connections with people to help get that PML done. And so I said, Jared, what you need to do is make sure that you get a JV agreement with me that states, hey, any deal that you do with this other PML guy, I get, for the first 10 deals you do, I get a referral fee for it. And that way you're making money, but you're also connecting people to help them out and being able to build a portfolio. Does that make sense?
That's amazing. Thank you, Stuart.
So-
I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So, and this goes for everybody, Savannah. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring this up for everybody too. The more PML you can bring to the group, the better it's going to be for everybody in here. Okay. And so we are working tirelessly behind, I know I am, because it's part of my job, is working tirelessly behind the scenes to find as much PML as we possibly can. I know Jake's team is doing as well. And so we're trying to make sure that we have everything we can for everyone to get into these deals. But that doesn't mean that you guys don't have skin in the game. You got to get out there and grind and start talking to people, networking and finding out people's resources, what they have and what they need, right? Be connectors. Even though that's not your avatar, start learning how to raise some capital, because that's going to help you in the long term. Okay.
Absolutely.
But that's kind of the answer to the question. I would say is don't offer all cash, because we're not trying to be pigs, right? We have to share a watermelon. Don't eat your grape, share a watermelon. And also make sure. No, and I'm not saying you
I didn't want to interrupt
specifically,
you. Go ahead.
Savannah. No,
Finish your thought.
I'm not pointing you out specifically, right? That's not directed to you.
No,
That's for the whole group.
I am, trust me, I am steering away from cash offers, because I'm like, I understand when I'm talking to sellers or, like the owners or directly to agents, it's like, I'm trying to rule out cash. I'm like, look, if you want me to make you a cash offer, it's going to be way below what you're asking.
Sure.
So, and then letting them say, yeah, that's not going to work. So then, okay, then let's talk about what can we do to make it work, right? And so essentially I'm like, what are my options? Is exactly what you said. And I love what you just said, because I'm doing all of those things. I'm connecting with PMLs, I'm connecting with, connectors, I'm connecting with, wholesalers, and I'm looking at like how to, and each, the regions that I'm looking at Kentucky, which is honestly extremely challenging. It's a seller's market here. So I'm like, okay, what can investors do, personally myself, but whoever else, like to make an investment work here? because it's
Yep.
still a seller's market, right?
Mhm.
And I'm talking to realtors and they're like wanting to do stuff. And I'm also talking to people in Florida. So I'm just saying, I'm looking at like all the different markets and kind of what works for with each one and what are the different options for funding. So I love your answer. Thank you, Stuart.
Perfect. Yeah, you're very welcome. And just to clarify with everybody too, this watermelon challenge that, that we've all kind of come together to help out with everyone. This is not to say that we don't buy into creative finance, right? We're all either sub 2 or Gator people. And I mean, look who's on the Zoom with us, right? Jesse, Chris, and Jake, and everybody else. So this is just another way of skinning a cat. We're looking at other ways to let people get into real estate deals who are tired of getting the door slammed in their face or the phone hung up on or getting cursed out as they're talking about, subject to, and that's illegal, and you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and all this other BS that they get responses for. And if you're not sure how to negotiate seller finance with sellers, right? We're not saying that those deals can't be submitted. In fact, we would love those deals. They're fantastic. However, this is just another option for you to get into either your first deal or your 10th deal. And that's what we're doing here is we're just, again, sharing our resources, sharing the watermelon, if you will, and collaborating together to let people know that you have people out here that can work with you. And we're trying to make this more of a smaller knit community within a large, great community. Does that make sense, everybody? Give me some love in the chat here to help me understand that you understand what I'm talking about. Again, this is not an us against them. This is an us getting a little bit more intimate, right? Going back to our roots a little bit, getting a little more intimate with everybody, and then trying to build this thing a little bit more. Okay. Thank you, Savannah. I appreciate it.
Stuart. No, I appreciate your intuitive response. So thank you so much.
You got it.
I just want to address Freddie's question real quick. He asked, would it be possible to create an LLC with us to make the partnership easier? And so I just want to take a couple minutes to talk about what it actually looks like when you do partner with, like, my team specifically on the loan sponsor side. That's actually one of the requirements. Like, we do it 2 different ways depending on how much time we have and things like that. But so if we're going to be getting the loan and partnering together, it's going to be one of 2 ways. Either we will form an LLC together that we could hold the property in and be partners on, or the other option is that my team could just close the property in one of our entities and have a JV agreement between us. It depends on how much time we have before closing and things like that. So yeah, that is one of the ways that you will have to create an LLC with us to begin with. Just wanted to throw that out there.
No worries. Appreciate you,
Does
man.
it make sense for them to have their own LLC though? Because I think I commented on that, Jake. Like for us, right? When we partner with people, we always have our LLC. That's the vesting info versus the individual name.
Oh, they should have, absolutely. Everyone should have their own LLC. Absolutely. But specifically, if you're going to partner with a loan sponsor, that property is either going to be held in our entity or in a joint entity. It's never going to be just in theirs without us on it. So
We love PCS for LLC forming, but I know there's a ton of companies out there. It's just, they're amazing to work with.
yeah, I love PCS also. Super easy.
Yeah.
Likewise. Bob, you had your hand up for a while. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
No worries at all. So quick question on the calculator. If we could still throw out a question on the calculator. So
Absolutely.
I've been an STR guy, absolutely flipping over to MTR. And so would I add construction costs and just put in some walls and do a pad split kind of a thing that would increase my my revenue on that? Is that what it would look like if I was going to MTR the living bejesus out of that property?
Yeah, so on that calculator, there's a renovation line item for entry fees. So if it's gonna need some work, you can just throw that in there.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So 2 things. One, I want to kind of also go on what Bob just asked about as well. Pad split obviously is huge now with Pace, talking about them and working with them on a regular basis. please look out their websites. They have certain states that are already in. So if you're looking to do that as an option for your, midterm / short-term rental, know the states that they already are in and existed, but they also offer out-of-state kind of situations as well, where they can kind of put you on their site and you can pick an area that they don't have, let's say a foothold on. It's not as easy to get your property marketed, but that is an option. And then 2, that pad split is kind of like a short-term rental, right? Because you're renting it out by the week, not by the month. So if you're using that as your strategy, you would use it as an MTR calculation, but understand it's going to be more of an STR format. Does that make sense, everybody? Give me some love in the comments there to make sure you understand what I'm saying.
I believe they sign a lease though,
Correct.
which is a little bit different. If we're looking at the average, we're looking at doing a pad split investment, Stu and I and our other partners. So we're very much like into these numbers right now. I think the average is 250 to 300 a week. So
Yeah,
if you
for
divide
our
by
area.
7, depending on the area, right? For our area here locally in Tempe, Arizona, it seems a little low for STR. Seems more of a long-term rate, especially if they're signing a lease. So I don't know if that changes things.
I'm sorry to butt in, but I was under the impression that with pad split, their shortest stay was a 30-day haul. I could be wrong.
I think it's I think you're right. I think it's 30 to 90 days is like the lowest. But they're setting it up like a long-term renter, right? With a lease in place. I believe they pay utilities. Am I right or wrong about that, Stu?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Bob.
Oh, I was just going to say, yes, spot on. I believe you're spot on with that. And I think that one of the reasons they go with that 30-day minimum is because if it's a traveling nurse, they're going to have a 30-day contractual agreement with the hospital minimum. Otherwise, they're not a traveling nurse. They're whatever they would be, whatever the opposite of that is.
So again,
yeah,
maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't get all too in the weeds of this. We can talk about this at a later time. But it's a weekly rate, but with a monthly lease.
Yeah,
correct?
I believe that's right. Yeah.
Right.
We
So
have-
it's that's what I'm saying is that it's a weekly rate like an STR,
like an STR,
but the lease is for a 30-day period. So you're still getting the rate per week, which is higher than what you would get on a monthly basis for a long-term rental.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
property that we're closing on tomorrow that we're turning into a pad split. It's also
nice.
if you're doing a pad split, factor in they take 15%, and then that doesn't include. You still have to maintain like the lawn and stuff on your own, so you'd have to factor that into your costs as well.
Congrats, man.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Awesome. Is that local to you?
Houston, no, it's in Houston. Yeah.
Now, Jake, what financing are you getting for that? Because it's my understanding that those properties are pretty difficult to get financed when they're up and running.
It's a sub 2.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So you're going to be out of pocket to throw the extra walls up in the common areas?
Yeah, well, I'll use a private money, but yeah.
Nice.
Do you really have to put a wall up more so? Can't you like buy one of those?
Like accordion walls?
Yeah.
I mean, it's part. I think it's. I'm pretty sure it's mandatory. It's part of their
Okay.
business model. Yeah.
Throwing that out there. I don't know. You never
Yeah.
know.
So you're getting a private money, and then we can definitely stop talking about pad split because that's not the topic today.
Right, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
intriguing for me. So you're bringing in private money for the drywall, the additional bedrooms.
Yeah.
Picking your brain about this offline.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, just warning you.
Sounds good.
So guys, before we get too more in the weeds, I wanted to just touch base on Freddie real quick. So Freddie, if you want to unmute yourself, Freddie, you can talk, a little bit about this. Not too long. We're going to make sure we have some more time for questions, but want to just give everybody an idea of how this challenge is working and how much more beneficial it can be for you. So Freddie doesn't have any real estate experience at all. And he is very close to getting his first cash flowing property using this challenge as a catalyst to make that happen. So again, thank you to obviously Jacqueline's team, or not Jacqueline's team. I say Jacqueline's team because Jacqueline was on the Zoom today, and Jake's been gallivanting around the country, hooting up with the boys. But Jake's team and Jacqueline and Candace and everybody else there have helped kind of underwrite this and make sure that this works. And Helaman's been working with him offline as well to get this done. And so this is a true testament of what this whole challenge is meant to be, right? Freddie is in the process of getting this deal to the finish line. And he's been the first one that's been as far as we have. This is 1 weekend, by the way, which is fantastic. So kudos to him for taking action and for following up with all the information that we asked of him in a timely manner. That's going to make the difference as well, because the faster you can get the information that everyone is requiring of you, the faster we can help you get this across the finish line.
Amazing. That's a true testament right there, more so because you don't have to have like 20, 30, 50 years of experience just to, get a deal done, right? Or, just even do this challenge. You can come at all levels. And Freddie's a true testament. I know he said he's
I
on
have
the
to
phone.
say,
Go ahead.
Freddie's a master marketer too. He's been dropping his Calendly since last week. Zoom. Like every few minutes, he drops his schedule for people to book with him. So
Absolutely.
Hey,
That's perfect.
get it, Freddie, get it.
I really appreciate all of you. You humble me all so much. I couldn't have done this without the support of, Jesse and Chris and, just the mindset that they've helped me instill in, taking that intentional action and getting things done. 4 weeks is, a phenomenal time frame to go from knowing nothing about real estate to working on my first deal. And, I attribute that to, everybody that's here, just being able to support each other and, prove to each other that we really can do this. And it's not just, something that's beyond our wildest dreams and imagination, and especially thank you to Jesse for being that, that coach and mentor to me and, showing me everything that I should know, not just in real estate, but in life and the whole thing. Sorry, I'm trying not to get, emotional about it, but I've connected with a lot of you guys so far and, you're all wonderful, amazing people. And if you guys are looking for, how to really understand who you are and the mindset and the, the development and the growth that you need to have, please reach out to me, reach out to Carlin, reach out to Jesse. We're all, willing to show you guys, what it takes and the path that you should take, to get where you need to be. So, I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man, for just being you and taking action. That's phenomenal.
I love that. That's what this whole challenge is all about, right?
Absolutely.
Amen. So guys, what do you think? We should open up for last questions and try to be out of here at the latest by 8:30. We're getting closer and closer to our hour mark. You know that, right? We're slowly whittling down to getting
I
closer
just
to
want
our
to say
goal.
one last thing about Freddie. Freddie, thank you for being so transparent and like actually embodying what this challenge is about. But action is amazing, but the passion too, right? You got to be excited about this, guys. Like this is like an opportunity, and not to sound salesy here, but this is a great group of leaders here that you have to tap into, and also other members like Freddie. So I think it's like a recipe of just action, passion, and the willingness to kind of like be uncomfortable, right? And put yourself out there like Freddie just did. So good job.
Amazing. So is there any final questions in regards to the calculator, some of the loan products that we offer, some of the way just how to input it? Is there anything that you think we should change in regards to the form? What are you guys thoughts? I know you only been just a week, right? A little bit over a week, I want to say, with the form. Angel brings up a good point. It doesn't get better than this. No excuses. There's really never excuse why you're not doing deals. There's really no excuse. Chris Williams says he's working on bringing on number 2.
My man, Chris. Shout out to Chris Williams. I love that dude.
Shane Evans asks a great question. So you want to take that one?
All right, Shane, what is the expected involvement with each business in the JV? Shane, do me a favor, unmute yourself and can you elaborate for me? This is a great question. I just don't want to go off the rails and answer something that I'm not really understanding all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. So basically, as someone who's coming on here, I kind of know what most time JV involvements look like, but we talked about having a manager on site or having a manager built in. What does each person who's going to be submitting a deal to you, what is their expected involvement after the deal is followed through? Are they boots on the ground, or are they, what's that look like for that person?
Great question. So I hate to give it to you, but I'm going to give it to you. It is case by case basis, right? That's kind of our standard. That's like the politicians speak for. It depends. It's one of these, right? So, but really, it's your deal, right? It's your deal. Do I really want to manage your property? No, not really. I don't want to be boots on the ground, right? I don't want to have that involvement. I have my own stuff going on. And so we want to make sure that you are more of the operator. We'll call it the operating manager. And we are just the equity and or kind of, behind the scenes type of person within this. However, if you need more hand holding, then roles need to be changed. Well, then that can be changed and negotiated so that maybe we are taking more of an upfront role, but then obviously the cut's going to be a little bit different in that aspect of it, right? If we're putting more effort, resources, energy into that deal, we're going to require more equity and or more kickback for us. But if you need more hand holding and you need us to kind of walk you through it and you're like, that's cool. I can just take a couple bucks a month. While I'm getting the process down and learning this whole thing, that's okay too. For me, it's more about having, a percentage of something as opposed to 100% of nothing. And so, in our venture right now, I'll give you an example. Daniela, myself, and we have 3 other partners that we formed an LLC that we're doing some pretty cool things that hopefully we can talk about in the next round of the Watermelon Challenge. Again, split 6 ways. You're like, wow, that's gonna be down to crumbs. But if you do a lot of pies, I love pie. I love watermelon too, but if I eat a lot of watermelon pies, there's a lot of stuff going around for that. And so it kind of makes it bigger as things start to move on. So again, short answer is it really depends on case by case basis and what you need from us to help you be successful. And that would determine whether or not, we take more of an active role or not within that project. Chris, is there anything else you want to add to that, or Jake?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to point out that on the calculator, there's, I believe, a 10% property management fee built into it. And so on like a typical long-term rental, if you're factoring in that 10% for the property management and it's still hitting that benchmark where it's a good deal, well then, we don't really need somebody managing the deal right now. If it's a midterm rental or a short-term rental or something that's a little bit more involved, that's going to be a different story. I don't know that a regular property management company is going to have the means to do something like that. But for just your basic long-term rental, that's still cash flowing after factoring in that 10% property management fee. I mean, it's pretty hands off from everybody at that point.
Yep.
Correct. Yep.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your question, Shane. Yeah, you got it, dude. Thanks for a question. Hey, Lisa, real quick, can you unmute yourself? So her question is, when bringing someone else who had a deal to you once submitted, do you then talk to the person I brought? Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm not getting it. Can you unmute yourself?
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm literally leaving the gym. Sorry, but I'm just curious how much I need to be involved after I bring somebody that has a deal to you.
Okay.
And you guys, want to look at it. Do I need to talk to them, talk to you guys through, be the middleman? Or
So are you submitting the deal or are they submitting the deal?
Well, it's somebody that's coming to me with a funding need. So I would be JV, I guess.
Okay,
And
yes.
I have asked to be part of it because I'm new and I would love to see the whole process through. I just don't have a deal, unfortunately, and that's fine too. They've been open to that, but I just want to know if they wanted to just submit the deal to you and then they talk to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, so there's gonna be the deal. So they're the one that would be going through the whole process of, either partnering with Jake's team for the credit partnering aspect of it and or needing MD for us or the DSCR loan through Chris and Jesse. However, what I would strongly recommend you do is either get into their LLC, form a separate LLC, and become, a partner with them within the second LLC that actually is going to be acquiring this property. So that you can stay a part of this, or maybe do a JV agreement with them to say, hey, I'm going to get X number of dollars for bringing you all these resources. So it's almost like an assignment fee, if you will, but it's a referral fee. But also in addition to my monetary fee, I'm also you're going to allow me to walk through each and every step of this process so I can learn on it.
Yes. Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So there, again, I'm going to give you the answer, right? Here, look at the screen. Depends.
Learn
right?
while you learn.
It's everything is kind of negotiable with that. It really depends on how good you are at negotiating and or what you want to negotiate for yourself.
Yeah. I was offered a 5% of the deal, but also being able to stay on as well because he wants to mentor me to not mentor, but he knows that I'm trying to get the experience. So that's cool.
That's fantastic.
Sorry, Lisa, is your partner or friend, is he going to stay in the deal?
He would
Long-term?
stay in the deal. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
And you're going to get 5%. Okay.
Yes.
Let's connect offline. I agree with Stu though, that you should for sure. I think the easier thing, right? Since it's her first deal and she's kind of like shadowing, earning while she's learning in a sense, is to do a JV agreement with him. And we have those templates that we can give you.
Awesome.
So,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chris Williams, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just another day. Grateful for. So, yeah, I just had a quick question. So, what other tools, I guess, does everyone use to stay organized? So I've been using Trello, which is free, and it's kind of completely changed the game for me, because I can drag things from list to list. And like I said earlier, it's free. And I know some people, they want to get started, but money is kind of an issue, which for me it is. So yeah, what other tools and software that would be free or basically under $100 a month that I could use to stay organized, or is Trello sufficient?
I think Trello's a great one. Go ahead, Stu.
So I'm sorry, Chris. I guess because just everybody look at Candace's face right now, right? She just lit up. She got a smile ear to ear. You know why she is that way, Chris? Because she is the Trello queen, and she was probably just doing inside backflips inside of her mind as you were talking about.
There's something I can answer. There's something I can tell you. Don't ask me about DSCR loans, but I can talk to you about Trello.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but man, I just saw her face lit up like it was Christmas. It was fantastic.
So Chris, go ahead and connect your Trello to Slack. And then if you're working with a team, especially, everybody who is on your team can see those updates from those Trello cards in Slack in one place and then comment on them. So that will, if you're working with the team, especially, that is going to change your life.
Okay. Yeah,
Chris,
that's level.
I'm a technical idiot, and even I got Trello and this whole Slack thing.
Well, you did get
awesome.
a personal training session.
I mean, maybe I got a personal
he
training
definitely
session. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. That's neither here nor there. Nobody can confirm that. Shut your mouths. Everybody shut your mouths, all right?
That's some good stuff right there, though.
Yeah, it is great. And I will tell you this, get an integrator, right? I mean, we have integrators within our teams separately and within this group that working together. And that those individuals, shout out Candace and Daniela and Angela and everybody else, man, they will keep you on task and help you become more focused and more deliberate in your everyday operations. And I think I saw it on there too, network, right? The idea of networking, you know, find someone who is going to be your opposite and strengthen your team. You know, our mantra, our you know, company motto is hashtag stronger together, right? That's what we talk about every single day of the week. And no, you cannot take that because that is ours and we're trademarking it. No, it's hashtag stronger together. It's awesome.
Yeah, I like that. And I think for me, being a college athlete, that whole working together as a team thing, like playing college basketball, I mean, I've been playing basketball since 6th grade, so I'm used to working together. I mean, we have guys on the team who are 5'11", guys who are 6'10". The 6'10" guys aren't doing the same thing the 5'11" guys are doing, but everybody's useful if we want to get a dub. So
that's right. Know your lane, right?
Absolutely.
Like you just talked about, if you're a point guard, don't try to be a center. It's not your job.
Exactly.
Right? Run the
true.
Uh-huh.
offense. Don't be a center. We should
So,
all be cross-trained, but don't try to do everybody else's job.
so Chris,
All right,
to your question, there's a lot of free stuff out there. I'm seeing someone asking about Asana in the chat. There's Asana, there's Monday, there's Trello. They all have different attributes and depends on what you're interested in focusing on and how it works for you. Some people are very visual, some people like lists. You know, there's a ton out there and a lot of them have free versions. So you'll be pretty good at least to start with that. Then you can upgrade Trello and Slack, etc. But just to get in, it's super easy. And I'm glad you're using it because you can then you can like connect things. You can connect to Google Drive and your copy move it from your email, your Gmail into Trello with an API or a plugin for Trello. So they're all in there. They're free. They're power ups, and that's really helpful in staying organized and making sure everybody has the information they need in front of them. They're not digging into a card. It's if you connect to Slack, it's like right there, and then you can click to that card in Trello, and everybody sees the update. Everybody sees what's going on. So as you build that team, you can stay focused and stay on top of things.
Okay, can we connect offline?
Absolutely.
I might need like a training or something. So I will I'll send you my number in the side chat.
Sounds like a plan.
So
Chris,
right,
she's
thank
pretty
you so
expensive, dude. You gotta be careful. She's pretty expensive.
All right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Chris.
Amazing.
So it looks like we're at an hour and a half. I'm gonna be the bad guy. We're gonna cut it. We're gonna cut it for the night. I will end my segment as this part of it. One, please remind yourselves, don't forget to register for the challenge for next week. Right, we said another Zoom is already up. We put it in the side chat, and we'll share it again in the side chat so we can do that while I'm spitting out here. Two, if for those of you who asked to join our Facebook group, all of your requests have been denied. No, I'm just kidding. They were all accepted. And if you decide to join, if you don't join now and you send us requests, over the night, we check our emails periodically. If not by that day, by the next day, you'll get into our Facebook group. Okay.
Quick question. Why is it called the Watermelon Challenge?
That's a great question. So Jesse cannot be a part of this right now. So I will take this because I've heard it so many times. It's awesome. The idea of the Watermelon Challenge is that because it's easier or better to share a watermelon as opposed to eating a grape by yourself, because it's more plentiful, right? You have more of it, and therefore you can share your resources and give it to everybody else. If you have a grape, you're more likely to keep it to yourself and to not share that. And so what we've done is we've come together as a group and given all parts of our watermelon to you to be successful. Does that make sense?
Absolutely does. That's good.
Right. So we're here to share, right? Like Chris talked about and kicked off the Zoom, right? This is real estate in a box. We're trying to keep it in a box for you, make it nice and simple, and just here you go.
Yep. Got it.
We've gotten so much from our communities that we're in and the people who've been around. We're trying to give back and do what we can to help everybody else grow. And again, by the way, guys and girls, are we going to grow as well? Hell yeah, we are. We're all going to grow from this. We're all going to benefit. We're all going to win. We're all going to make money, right? But if we share everything, you're going to make maybe a little bit faster than you would if you're trying to do it by yourself.
Absolutely.
And I did it many years by myself. And let me tell you, it sucks. It can be done. It sucks.
It's lonely, it sucks, and it's slow. AF,
Yes.
excuse my
Oh, yeah.
language. So I feel like, I feel like it's like we've said this so many times, but chase the relationship, not the deal. And I think that, if we just kind of do that within this challenge, we're going to be so successful at the end. So thank you for that, Stu.
You're welcome. And I'm going to make sure that JJ Azizian gets credit for that, because that
Oh,
is
yeah.
what Danielle says,
I
right?
know. I know.
I say it all
That's
the time.
just hashtag.
Yeah, chase relationship, not the deal. Or man, JJ Azizian, if you don't know who that is, go look him up, get on his Facebook group, go schedule a call with him or Zoom. It'll change your life. It is great information. I spent too much time chasing the deal because I wanted to get that next deal or that first deal. And if I just chase relationships, man, the last 6 to 9 months, I will tell you, Daniela and Helaman and the team that I have, I could not be happier and could not be in a better place with that. So find your Daniela, find your Helaman, find your Chris and everybody else, in this challenge with these 265 people that we have in this Facebook group.
Amazing.
All right, all. Thank you very much.
Everyone have a good night.
Thanks,
Love you,
everyone.
bye.
Thank you, Chris.
Deuces. Thank you,
you.
Chris. Great job, buddy.
Candace,
Guys.
Jacqueline.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night.